Hello, and welcome to Colored Commentary. I'm TJ, your average fan, and I'll be talking to you today about Warner Brothers' recent series of Godzilla and Kong movies that I chose to do a bit of a rewatch on. So, first we have Godzilla, and then we have Kong Skull Island. Next up, we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And lastly, Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, after rewatching these movies, I've come to find that they tried to make something really good here, but they had a few missteps that I'm going to discuss right now. So we're going to get into it just in case you haven't seen any of these movies. We're just going to call it spoilers for all of them. So we start off pretty good with the Godzilla movie. You know, we got to see them slowly reveal, him and show what he's about. They gave you in the credits, the history of where it came from and the experiments and the nuclear tests and all that stuff. They were trying to cover it up, saying they were doing this, but that's actually what they were doing, trying to fight this monster in the sea that they didn't understand. Only to realize that they were just powering him up because he live off the radiation, which I thought was an interesting commentary on the world and all of that's gone on in the past and is currently happening with global climate change and all of that kind of stuff. So I thought the first Godzilla movie was pretty good. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8, maybe an 8, because I really enjoyed that. As well as Kong Skull Island, which was the second movie. So this time we go back a little bit, and we're going to see how they found Kong, and they explain the history of his species and the island itself and how people have been avoiding it. I really enjoyed the opening sequence with the Japanese fighter and the American fighter planes going down and them fighting to the death, and Kong show up and was like, "Hey, cut it out." I really personally, if I had to choose a side, I'm on Kong's side. I'm sorry, I love Godzilla, but I'm a Kong fan. I love Kong. So this was one of my favorite movies of the series. And again, they did the same thing. This is what they was doing with the credits. They would, put little information and tidbits in here and there about what the world and governments knew about this or that, And though I wasn't a big fan of the whole Brie Larson character that she played with the photographer, war photographer, or the other guy, I can't think of his name, Loki, that dude. Middleton, whatever his name is. Anyway, him being the person to take them through the jungle and to show them how to get through and get back and all of that stuff. I was like, whatever, Anyway, and of course, Samuel L. Jackson over the top. He just was a war-weary veteran of the Army, and we were giving up apparently on the Vietnam War. And he wasn't very happy about that. And so he just wanted to fight. That's all he wanted to do, was to have one last fight. And he got what he wanted. So there you go. Even though he did lead his team into danger going after it, I'd agree with one of the soldiers who was like, hey, we should be going the other way. Not trying to fight him, but yeah, revenge and all of that good stuff. And to see Kong and learn more about the history of the island itself, and possibly, these skull crawlers, they come from underground and all this other stuff. And then with the post-credit scene of them getting indoctrinated into Monarch, I was like, okay. But then we don't get history in the next movie, Godzilla, King of Monsters, about any of that. I would give Kong definitely a 9. Definitely a 9. I love Kong Skull Island. I love that movie. I love it. But then, Godzilla King of Monsters come along, and it's like they do this whole history lesson thing again. They show what Godzilla been up to all this time. We got a family that's mad about what he did, and and all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, so we got these people trying to deal with this, and here come these mutos, and he got to deal with that. So I'm like, okay, this is just getting a bit out of control at this point. Plus, the government's not really helping. The lore that they tried to put in this, especially at the end when they tried to throw in, that he, the whole hollow earth thing and what's happening down there. I'm like, okay. But then you threw me. They threw me with the last one, with Godzilla versus Kong, which is also one of my favorites. If I have to rate that one, I'd give that one an 8. So clearly, the first Godzilla movie was the lowest rated one. The rest stepped it up a bit, but at the same time, they didn't go any further. So they could have done better, especially if they were going to try to develop this lore. And you're going to have one movie called Godzilla King of Monsters, but then in the very next movie, in Godzilla vs. Kong, y'all going to say that Kong is also an alpha, and that two can't be two alphas. And now the history of these species is that they've been fighting for thousands of years, for millennia, and then we go get to the Hollow Earth after we done tricked Kong to find out more about how his species ran down there pretty much and was fighting Godzilla species that was down there and all of that. And I'm like, come on, people. We could do better than this. For it to be no end at all, like even missed parts, like when Godzilla first came after Kong when they were at sea and they tried to do the play dead thing with the ships, but they looked each other in the eyes. Godzilla knew that Kong was not dead. He didn't win. What are you doing? Why did he leave? It made no sense. So yeah. They were really pushing through the plot of that, and most of it was Kong traveling on the ocean. I realized after an hour, that's what we've been doing. We've been just transporting Kong to Antarctica. What the hell? Anyway, I felt like this was just an interesting series to revisit. I enjoyed it a lot. It was interesting to see it all play out beat after beat, even with the family who lost the son and the one, and then now their father want revenge, but then he had to turn around and help. He was happy that he thought Kong was there, but now we got to bring him back because Ghidorah is out of control, and I'm like, this is just insanity. Millie Bobby Brown, what are you doing? You had 2 movies of this, and you didn't do anything. Just saying. Besides running around and being a brat. That's what I got out of that. She was running around being a brat. So that's how I feel about Warner Brothers' latest iteration of the Kong and Godzilla series. I thought these 4 movies were pretty good. At the same time, they definitely could have been better. They pretty much focused on spectacle, and they tried to introduce lore that they didn't really want to detailedly involve you in. The lady whose family had a bunch of twins in it, but where's her twin then? All of a sudden, she's not a twin? I mean, it's like y'all trying to throw stuff in there from the old lore of these monster movies, but at the same time, y'all not really making true connections, except through cave paintings and stuff like that about things. And I'm like, come on, you gotta do better than that. Give me somebody who's gonna stick around through them all. Some old dude that was there from where they was in Kong Skull Island in the 70s, all the way up to the current time, when they trying to get Kong to go back through the Hollow Earth thing. Somebody. They killed the Subaru dude, and then his son had the watch, but I watched him in the previous movie die with the watch in his pocket. So I was like, wait a minute, how did he even get the watch? How did the son get the watch? And then the son didn't know what his father was doing and why his father died, trying to bring Godzilla back to life in the first place and give him a power boost. Now he hell-bent on creating this mechanical Godzilla why? Yeah, stuff that just didn't make sense. Kept it from being tens. I don't know. But that's my thoughts on the rewatch of this Godzilla Kong series. Hope you enjoyed it. Check it out. It's worth watching, definitely. Especially if you can watch it all the way through, movie after movie. You can do that on HBO Max currently. I would suggest doing that. You guys, have a great day.